So today on Endures, I am joined by my good friend and a fellow Ken's coach, Sophie Anderson. Sophie specializes in burnout prevention and she is the creator of the Anderson method for burnout prevention. So I know we're going to have some really great things and synergies to talk about today. Uh, Soph, welcome on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And tell me, why burnout?
Because I have seen it in my 25 years in the corporate world, people burning out or saying they're burning out and still at work. And some people were doing really well within the same team, sometimes with the same manager, sometimes with the same workload. Someone would be doing really well and someone wouldn't. And I got really curious. And when I became a certified coach, I decided I wanted to help them improve their well-being and reduce stress, is what I was telling people. And the interesting thing is that when I started being self-employed, I started burning out myself. I started feeling all those things and having too much pressure. So I got really curious and I was like, well, it's not just linked to the employer. There's a really big personal layer to it. So I got really, really curious. And because everyone's talking about burnout, and I love getting to the bottom of things and reminding people that they can influence a lot of things more than they think. So burnout prevention was just the perfect spot for me to be and to help people.
What type of people would engage with burnout prevention? Or I guess, like, who do you think should engage with it? I mean, I kind of feel like it's one of those things of everybody. Like, I feel like everybody should have a coach, but are there specific industries or maybe things that we can be aware of in our own lives that might predispose us more to burnout?
Yes, 100%. And you're right. Everyone, I like to say that we should all be in burnout prevention mode, just like we get car insurance and house insurance and even wedding ring insurance or pet insurance. And we hope that nothing's going to happen, but we have this. And burnout prevention is the same because it's that space of stopping and not being on autopilot when we get a lot of stressors, which is everyone, right? Life is not always linear. There's challenges, there's good bits, there's not so good periods. So, but specifically for people to recognize themselves, I guess, there would be people who feel like they're snappier than usual. They're more irritable than usual. Maybe they've got more tension, headaches. I know I've seen clinicians that wellness embodied when I first started burning out and feeling all of those signs. And it was all in my jaw, it was in my shoulders, headaches, like it's really common. And the other things are losing interest in the things we like to do, not wanting to go to work in the morning, not sleeping, like waking up with the 3 a.m. brain, as my clients call it. These are all signs that the stress is not the good stress. Like it's not resolving. It's just an underlying stress all the time. And it's really starting to affect us.
Something I'm really interested in. So, I mean, as you know, I'm really interested in people actualizing their potential, but obviously with a background as a clinic, as a physio, and participating in a lot of endurance sports and so on, I know that I am very aware when I'm at a suboptimal level. So, like, I'm very aware if I haven't had enough sleep, or I'm very aware of if I have a glass of wine that I feel a bit sluggish the next day, or, I'm very aware if my training is not going as well as what I think it could be, and thinking about all the factors in my life that might be affecting that. So maybe I've been working a lot, or there's family stress or home stress or whatever. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm really aware of that is not just my clinical background, but also the fact that I kind of expect myself to perform at a high level. So when I'm not at that level of energy that I know that I normally can be, that it becomes noticeable to me. I'm really interested though, how much do you think in the general population, how connected do you feel we are to those physical symptoms and those things in our bodies?
That's a great question, and it depends where people are on their way to burnout. Often, it depends on their level of awareness as well. So, when we start studying as a coach, and when we work in that area, awareness is a big term, and it's something that we do naturally. Something goes wrong, we go, "What was my role in there?" So, I think there's certainly a part of people need to learn to be more aware of what's going on. Um, and two other things is people are on autopilot. So people who are prone to burning out, they're high achievers. They value, doing well, doing a lot. They might be in over functioning zone for a long time, and they don't make the time to think. So that's one side that can happen. And the other thing is when we get closer to burnout and we have no energy and we're in chronic stress all the time, the frontal cortex, the thinking part of our brain is offline. So we can't think straight. We're not aware. We're even more in autopilot, but disconnected from our bodies as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you always want to hit I mean, you never want to hit a point in leadership or in your business or whatever that you can't make good decisions. And it's having that, and you talk a lot about resourcefulness, but be able to create the space to go into those different brain states so that you can delegate effectively, or you can make better decisions around your health, or you can make better decisions around the strategy of your business, as opposed to making these kind of little micro decisions all the time and then getting decision fatigue. So I totally agree with you in the sense of that. It's the overachievers thing. We think, oh yeah, I'll just push through, or I'll just get to this next point. Or so what I really love about the model is, ideally, we don't want people to get to that point of that exhaustion, or where they feel like they chronically kind of can't think or can't function or can't get out of bed. Do you want to talk us through the model and how people can recognize themselves maybe on the stages?
Yeah, absolutely. So, best is to have the model in front of you, but essentially, there are three zones before burnout. And what's really interesting is there is no universal description or definition of burnout. It's not an illness. What I've based my research and my model on is the three indicators of Dr. Christina Maslach. But as long as we're not burnt out as per those three indicators, essentially, we're not burnt out and there's lots we can do. And I have described this in three separate zones. So the first zone is the activation zone. And this is where, what I was saying, we start noticing that we've got more body tension in our body. We're not ourselves. We're snappier. We start realizing that we're not taking breaks. Like we're more rush, rush, rush all the time. That can be addressed by the workplace and by the individual. If not, we carry the weight of the activation zone and we fall into the over functioning zone. That's when we're trying to catch up. And this is what you were describing, like, I just got to work harder until that project's out of the way, or until this person starts working. And this is what some people call workaholism. Our relationships might start to be affected by this. Sometimes coping strategies come in. So more coffee during the day, more wine at night. And this is where work will really permeate every area of our life, essentially. And up until then, most people go unseen. It's like what people call invisible burnout. They're just seen as those amazing people who are just overachievers. They're there for everyone. But the truth is, it's not invisible to them. They will know that something's not quite right. They will know that they're working harder and they're not producing quite the same outcome, or they never feel satisfied. They will feel it, and especially in their body, if they're connected to their body. So again, in the overfunctioning zone, the employer can intervene and support them. And the individual, there's a lot of things they can do. And that's on the other side of the model are the prevention pillars. But if nothing is done, at that stage, then they might fall into the depletion zone. And this is where people start to say, I'm feeling burnt out, I'm burning out, I'm at capacity. This is when they wake up and they don't want to go to work. They might call in sick. They start making errors. Like, it starts being more obvious to people. And most people who are saying that they're burning out or who need help, they're sort of dipping in and out of the depletion zone. Because when we're in the depletion zone, if we go on holidays, we'll come back and mostly fall back into the over functioning zone. We'll try to compensate, and then we'll go back into depletion. We'll take extended leave, we'll come back up. So this is how it works. And each zone, when we fall down, it carries the weight of the previous zone. So the depletion zone is heavy, and it might feel and look like depression as well to some people.
I am, there's the thing of like we teach what we need to know, and you are obviously aware of this, the science on recovery and micro breaks, and that was a huge selling point to me. That like at least 20% more productive. That was a major thing for me, and I will diarize those things in my day, my week. I have those little blocks in every month. But another thing that, like you mentioned, that kind of that stage of where you go on holidays and you feel a little bit better. I remember doing a thing with Kirsty Goodwin, and she is big on digital habits and digital hygiene. And she talks about how if we have a digital detox of like a month, that'd be nice, a weekend, right? That if we don't have good digital habits in like prior to that, it takes us about the same length of time. So if we have a detox for 3 days, we go away to a silent yoga retreat or whatever, it takes us about 3 days to get back into the same habits. If we haven't cleared our notifications, if we don't have a rhythm to snack on our emails rather than nibble on it, if we're constantly reacting to people all the time, then it that's not leaving us. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on habits.
Absolutely. And you're right. If we want things and changes to be sustainable, we need to change how we see, how we perceive work and productivity and rest. A lot of my clients and a lot of high achievers think that rest is just such a waste of time. It's so
Or like they have
uncomfortable.
to earn it.
They have to earn
Yeah.
it. Yes. And the resentment, even me up to a couple of years ago, my poor husband, he'd be having a well earned lunch break, and I would be looking at him going, have you seen the to do list? You know? So the resentment when people are resting. And I use athletes a lot in my talk and in my approach as a coach as well, to say athletes know it very well. If they don't rest, they don't compete.
Mm.
You can't.
Athletes have a lot of time to, if you're a professional athlete getting paid, not if you're trying to put your endurance sports and you're running two businesses, but they tend to have a lot of time to read and to do other things. Like they have a lot of downtime in their day, whereas a lot of us are trying to shoehorn our sport and our this and our that into our lives. And something I say a lot is our body interprets stress the same way, like the stress of like eating or exercise or a difficult conversation, or we need to put in place those stress breakers, um because like what's happening outside of our work is obviously influencing our work, and what's happening in our work is influencing outside, or it's influencing our training. Or yeah, what are some approaches you typically use with clients?
Well, the habits is a really good one. So I will help them implement habits. Like you were saying before, the habit of reflecting on, what's going on, what's on their plate. Quite literally, write it down. In a workshop that I lead, the first activity is to put everything that's on their plate on a plate. There's a paper plate, and they write it all down. So, but you don't need to have a paper plate. But
Yeah,
for
I
people
like
to
the
be,
paper.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
what's on your plate? What's all the mental tabs that are open? This is so powerful because people will say, I'm just so busy. I've got too many things to do. And obviously the brain goes offline because it's under stress. It's not working properly. You don't think clearly. So you don't know where to start. People will procrastinate or work on the wrong thing, or they do what they love first. So that is one thing that they can definitely implement and that I do with my clients. And then you can use a prioritization tool like the Eisenhower matrix to really understand what's urgent. What does it mean in my world? Something that's urgent. What's important? What needs to be delegated? You know, people say, I should delegate. You get to a point when you look at your plate, things need to be delegated, and what needs to wait, what needs to go on the back burner. So that's a very powerful one. Noticing our thoughts, like I was saying, around rest and productivity and what's helpful, what's not helpful. And sometimes just saying it out loud, clients just laugh at this themselves. They're like, that's crazy, isn't it? I think that I'm lazy if I take a break.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just lazy if I have my lunch, but not at my desk. That's just, they know it. But if we're just on autopilot and we don't make the time for it, it doesn't work. Is it
It's that
helpful if
thing,
I
isn't
give?
it? Oh
Mm?
yeah, no, it's that thing of like you would never speak to a friend like you speak to yourself in your own
No.
head. And sometimes if you like think about the volume of things that go through your head, it's like if somebody could pull those out, you'd sound like a crazy person because you're like you're walking along going, oh, I need to have lunch now. Hang on, I need to respond to that email. Did I have a coffee? Oh my God, I didn't feed the dog. Oh, I'm terrible. Did I? Oh, there's dirt in my shoe. Like it's just this constant monologue of nonsense sometimes, unless if you keep it in check.
Yeah, and in the middle of the night as well. I have so many clients. They're like, I've been awake since 3, and I might as well get up and work. And it's to their detriment. Obviously, they get to work at 7. They've already worked for 3 hours.
Mm,
And they're supposed to be there from 8 or 9. They're allowed to leave at 3:30. They leave at 6. It's just so much because they put so many things on their to do.
yeah,
It's
you
huge.
never finished a to-do list.
And that's the thing. This is,
Yeah,
if you've read 4,000 Weeks.
yeah.
Yeah. So this book is so good to change our perception of time. And it's a beautiful productivity book that goes against, it's not about cramming more into our 4,000 weeks. It's
Mm.
about how can I make the most out of those 4,000 weeks.
And I know you spoke recently about Bronnie Ware as well. So the nurse that did the regrets of the dying, and one of the things I there was a researcher on Mel Robbins a while back who does research on people that are in their 80s, 90s, hundreds. And he consistently talks about how people regret worrying. You know, we spend this time worrying about things that we can't control. And people that he would speak to would say, oh, this one time I spent 6 months worrying about losing my job. And, you know, it was never going to happen. Or it did happen, but then, you know, it's kind of like control the controllables. So yeah, I'm keen to hear what's the impact of it sounds like a silly question to us, right? But like what's the impact of burnout prevention, you know, on people's lives, on people's workplaces, for the employer? What are the kind of things that people see in terms of really improving their lives or their work?
I'm going to say that um, the immediate return on investment or the immediate improvement, I'm trying to think, am I thinking from the employer's perspective or from the individual?
I guess both. Like some of the most
Yeah.
powerful things that you've heard from people.
Yeah. So, especially with my clients, even after one session, when they come back, they're like, because the first session, often they cry and they're saying they have so much on. And the second session, they're like all peppy and they're like, you won't believe this. And I did this and I did that. So, that's after one session. And that's not me being
Mm.
powerful. But the coaching approach makes them realize all those things where, like I was saying before, you know, they put their face in their hand, they go, oh my gosh, how am I thinking that? So that's one thing. So bringing awareness. The second thing is I give them permission. I don't have to, right? But I give them permission to experiment with taking breaks. And I'm like, I've got your back. If things don't get done, it's on me.
Hmm.
Try it. So I give them the idea often that this is an experiment, right? This is our first session together. We're going to try leaving on time. And that's what they start doing. I'm going to ask them about their distractions because I coach mostly executives. They have a strategic role, but often a lot of them are still like in the weeds,
Mm-hmm.
solving small things. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can relate as a business owner.
Yeah.
You want to do the big picture
Yeah.
and guide your people, but you're in the random day to
Because
day.
a lot of people move from being great technicians to managers to leaders. It's like there's a huge identity shift we need to go through with people to elevate to those points. Yeah.
Yeah. So I help them identify those wasted opportunities to really work on the strategy, how to optimize their productivity essentially in a way that's sustainable. So turning their emails off when they're working on a project. Uh, so a lot of productivity tips, but or ideas that they come up with that make a big difference.
Yeah.
But I do want to reiterate, it's really not about cramming more in the day.
No.
That's not my approach. It's really what's really important. Often they're like, oh, I've got this, and that to do. Who's waiting for you? Those two. Okay, start with that.
Yeah, yeah. And the space to, I mean, it often sounds basic to people, but the space to have a coach and talk through this stuff is just so invaluable because somebody asking you the right question that maybe, your spouse has got their own things going on or your work colleagues are busy or, there's so many reasons why you can't maybe just offload on your friend group or whatever the case might be, having that space to examine the right questions. You often come up with your own answers anyway, and then you have more buy into it, but you're in that supportive space and you're maybe accountable to a coach. So you go, okay, well, I'm seeing Sophie next week, so I'm going to try that break thing and report back to her about it. I love the idea of an experiment as well.
Yeah, and the other thing as well about having an external coach come into the workplace is I'm not biased. Often organizations will assign an internal coach, which is often their supervisor. Obviously, they won't open up and they won't be that transparent and honest with them because they have an opinion. Also, communication wise, when my client talks to me, I don't wait to give them an advice because I don't have advice
Yeah.
for them. So they're in a space that finally they can get to the bottom of their thoughts without being interrupted, without being told what to do, without any sort of power. We're on the same level. And that is so powerful to them to finally have someone who doesn't have, take sides.
And they're not trying to correct before they tell you something. They're not trying to say, like, they're not in their head going, oh, Sophie's going to think I'm really inefficient if I tell her this, or if I tell her I can't prioritize, she's going to wonder what's wrong with me. Or, yeah, I
Exactly
think
right.
when we
They've
bring
got
these
nothing to
things, yeah, we both read an article recently which it had this sentence in it that really resonated with both of us, which is that burnout thrives in the dark. Did you know I was going to say
in
that sentence?
silence. Yes,
In
yes,
silence.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was it was so interesting. Um, yeah. So before we get to my final closing question, did you have anything else that you would like to add for the audience? Now, I'm going to share in the show notes a link to your model. So anybody who's been listening in can go and look at that and visually see the different stages and start to, I guess, think about what level they're on and how they might start to prevent that and maybe if they need to work with somebody for that. But did you have anything else you wanted to share with us?
I would like
Lots.
people to know that if they are saying that they're burning out, it's not inevitable. They can avoid burning out. The real sign of burnout for people I've interviewed in the last year is quite obvious and dramatic, and you really can't work until you're there. There's so many things that you can do, and I want to give them that hope, I guess, and also destigmatizing telling people that we're at
Mm,
capacity. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. There's a big difference between capability and capacity. We could be totally capable of doing something, but we're at capacity. So we put it on the back burner. So to be on their own side more.
yeah, that's so true. It's like I can do it, but I'm choosing not to. Or I can do it, but it's not the best use of my time. Like, why do I feel guilty about that? I've felt guilty about stuff like that so much in the past because I
Yes.
go, oh, it's just 10 minutes. Oh, I'm the best person to do it. Oh, it's fine. Oh, I want to seem supportive. Like all of these things that go through our heads as business owners. And, we learn this thing of leading by example and servant leadership. But there's a point at which you have to work on the things that are going to move you forwards and start to say no to things.
Yes. And it
Yeah.
empowers people when they start to delegate. People are actually, most of the time, they're happy. When
Yeah.
they start
I've
to
been
set
trusted with
boundaries,
this. Yeah.
yeah, they're happy. They feel like they trusted. And when they start to set boundaries, they think people will be like all offended. But people tend to respect leaders who have strong boundaries more because they know where they stand.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And clear expectations and frameworks. And yeah. So with that, my final question, which I ask all of my guests, is this one. Uh, if there was no barriers, what's the legacy that you'd love to leave?
The legacy for me, English is my second language, but the legacy for me is what I want to be remembered for.
Yeah, yeah, the impactor. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be that there's always something that we can control or influence. We're never out of solutions to get better. Like for people
Mhm.
to really become a problem solver.
And I would say also you're going to leave a big legacy in your book that you're writing.
Yes,
So
I look
I
forward to
would
it.
invite everybody to follow you on LinkedIn, or is LinkedIn your best platform?
Yes.
Yeah. So to connect with Sophie Anderson or Ken's coaching, are you going? Yep, on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'll share the links in the show notes. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
Suzanne.
joining me.